Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki, known here as the One-Handed Bandit. And today I wanted to discuss one of the most popular brands, and that is Fenty Beauty. And I want to talk about some of the things that I am looking for or that I expect to come in the future with Fenty Beauty. So I've already done my brows off camera, and the reason why I do my brows off camera is because they take quite a bit of time to get them perfected and things like that. So I did do my brows off camera, and I did use the Fenty Beauty brow pencil, and well, it's called the Brow MVP, and I have the shade black brown. So Fenty Beauty also did come out with a eye primer, and this is the eye primer. It's the same packaging as their regular face primer, but it's just in the same size as their concealer. So I'm just going to go ahead and prime my eye, and yes, I will be using all Fenty Beauty products today. I'm just going to apply that onto my lid. And I'm just going to take my brush that I used to blend out my concealer and just blend out the primer. Now, we all know Fenty Beauty is a cult favorite because the singer Rihanna is behind the product. And one of the very first things that was released was this eyeshadow palette. This is the Galaxy palette by Fenty. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I'm just going to turn it around so that I don't blind you. But this is what the palette looks like. Now, as you can see, all of these shades are shimmers, but I do feel like all of these shades are more of toppers. So I'll be going in with that on my lid later. But another palette that they also came out with was the Moroccan Spice palette. Now, when this was released, I was excited because, of course, it is purple. And this is what it looks like. And let me just open it. And this is what the inside looks like. So as you can see, it's very similar to the first palette. And I'll show you them side by side, but the layout is pretty much the same. So this is the Galaxy and this is the Moroccan Spice. So pretty much the same layout, and they both do have blues in there, but one is, let's see, one is more of like a denim blue and one is more of a royal blue. So I'm just going to start with the Moroccan Spice, and I'm going to go with this shade right here. So I'm going to go in with this first shade, and I'm just going to add that. So when this was released, a lot of people did have issues with the palette. They were saying that, you know, it wasn't blending and it was patchy. But I do know that it works really, really well with the eye primer. So some people were using just a regular concealer and they were having some issues. Now that that's blended, I'm going to go in with this shade right here, and I'm going to add that all over. So now that that's done, I'm going to dive into the Galaxy palette, and I'm going to take, let's see, this shade right here. The camera doesn't show how good it is, but it is more of like a purple, a pinkish purple. It has like reflex. So I'm just going to add that to my lid. And I'm just going to use it as a topper. But just a little dazzle, a little something something. And then I'm also going to take, from the same palette, I'm going to take this shade right here and add that to my brow bone, because as you can see, it's a little light up there. So and for liner, Fenty also has the Fly liner, and this is what it looks like. It is in the shade Cause I'm Black. Let me just show you it. And I also, this is the full size, and I also have the travel size as well. They also recently released some liners as well. I only have two, but these are the liners. I have black and I have white, because I like to use the white for my lower lash line just to brighten up the eye look. If I feel like it's too dark, I like to go in with a white liner just to brighten up my eyes. And then, you know, sometimes I don't always want to use a liquid liner. I sometimes use this liner as well. So I think I'm going to use the Fenty Fly liner today, and I'm just going to line my eyes. I think that these liners are old and dried out, so I'm going to use the pencil liner. So the only thing that I don't like about these liners is I don't believe that they were intended to do what I'm doing. Probably just, you know, added to the lower lash line, because you can't get a sharp enough point to do a wing. So you'll have to go back and clean up with concealer. So I personally would prefer a liquid liner from Fenty Beauty, as well as, you know, something that gives you a nice sharp point. Even though they have the Fly liner, it is felt tip and it's pretty hard to work with, and it also dries out very fast. So I have had these for quite a while, but the thing is, I think maybe, I don't know, I have to look it up and see what I can do to get some more life out of this, because these are $30 each, and that's a lot to not get that many uses out of. But I would love to see a liquid liner from Fenty. I would also love to see lashes in the collection as well. I'm going to apply my lashes off camera and I'll be back. So I added my lashes off camera, and normally when I do a one shadow eye look, I typically go very dramatic with the lashes, and I just had these on my vanity, so I decided why not use them again. These are super dramatic, and sometimes I do prefer dramatic lashes. Normally I prefer more of a wispy lash, and I would like to see things like this from Fenty Beauty as well. I know Anastasia Beverly Hills did add lashes to their makeup line as well. But to go on to the rest of my face, Fenty Beauty also has 3 primers. I have 2 of the 3. The first one is their soft matte primer. This was the first one that came out with their foundation. And as you can see, I have very little left in there. But they also have a hydrating primer as well, and this is the hydrating one. So the coloring of the packaging is very similar, but they are also different. So just to put the 2 side by side, this is what they look like. I prefer the hydrating primer, so that's the one I'm going to be using today. Now Fenty also has their own brushes as well. They have quite a few brushes for eyeshadow, for to apply foundation, bronzer, and things like that. And we all know that Fenty does have 2 foundations. The first one is the soft matte foundation that they originally came out with. I use the shade 385. When it first came out, I purchased 390 because 385 came out a little while after. But this one is 390. And then they also came out with the hydrating foundation as well. And I have the shade 385 in this one as well. So I'll be using the hydrating foundation in 385. And this is one of the things I love about this packaging, is that I can just squirt it on my face and it's easy. It's hard for me to apply it to my face because of the packaging, so I do prefer the hydrating because it's much convenient for me personally. And the packaging is plastic, which makes it very, very good for travel purposes. So I'm just going to blend out that foundation, and I'm going to be using a brush by the Juvia's Place. This is their foundation brush. And for concealer, Fenty only just has just one type of concealer. I have the shade 390. So as I mentioned, that was my first foundation shade, and I never picked up a lighter shade. So I'm just going to add the concealer. And I'm going to go in with another concealer that's much lighter, and I'm just going to add that to the center, like right here, just to give me a little bit of brightness. And I'm going to use my CoverGirl concealer in the shade Almond, and I'm just going to add just a dot right here. So I'm just going to blend out the concealer. So we do also have setting powders from Fenty Beauty. I personally would like to see a pressed powder from Fenty. This is their loose setting powder. I have the shade Honey. Now Honey, it works all over my face to set my foundation, and it's not light enough to put underneath my eye. So I normally use the shade Cashew, which I have in a small travel size, which I picked up when I was out of town, which is why I got the travel size. I just haven't replenished it yet. So I'm going to add Cashew under my eye, and then I'm going to go in with Honey to set all over my face. Before I do that, I'm going to just make sure this is nicely blended. So my next step would be to contour, and I do have some matchsticks from Fenty. This didn't come in a trio. I purchased them separately. I think I purchased them when they went on sale, and one of these is a concealer. I could have used this as a concealer to brighten, but I'm going to contour with Espresso. And this is what I normally do to add some warmth to my skin. And this is what the shade Espresso looks like. And I'm just going to warm it up on the back of my hand. And just going to take this brush and just blend out the contour of my forehead. And just blending out my nose. To set the contour, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty bronzer in the shade Coco Naughty. They also came out with cream bronzers, and I saw some reviews online and those did not appeal to me. So I sticked with the powder bronzers just because I like the way that they work, and I didn't want to use the cream because it looks like the shade ranges were off based on reviews. But as soon as Sephora opens, I would love to go in store and take a look at them in person and compare it to Coco Naughty. As I mentioned, I'm going to set my entire face with the larger setting powder in the shade Honey. I'm just going to set all over my face. See, this is one of the reasons why I don't like to set with loose powder. Now that we have recovered from that powder storm, Fenty also came out with a setting spray, which I did not purchase. I never got a chance to purchase it, and I'm just going to set off camera. So I set the rest of my face with my setting spray, and I also went in with, where is it? With my Fenty liner, the same liner that I used to do the small wing. I just added that to my lower lash line, and I also used the Fenty Beauty mascara as well. The lips, I don't have a Fenty lip liner because they don't have lip liners, so I would love to see lip liners from them. I know they do have those liners that I mentioned, and I never thought to use one of them as a lip liner. I just purchased the black and the white. So I'm just going to line my lips because I'm just so tired of my lips looking like this. This is the Makeup Chamber lip liner in the shade Brownie. For lips, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Stunna lip paint in the shade Unbutton. I applied the shade Unbutton by Fenty, and I have all of their other lip paints. I of course have Uncensored, I have Uninvited, this one is Unveil, which is a beautiful chocolate brown. I also have Uncuffed, which is a nice pink, very similar to my shirt. And then I also have Unattached, which is a pink coral. I also have Unlocked, and I did wear that for my birthday about 2 years ago. And then I have this one, which is called Underdog, and this one was released last Christmas. It only came in this small ornament size, so it's about maybe half the size of a regular one. And they also have Mademoiselle lipsticks. I don't have the full size. I do have some mini sizes that I got with a purchase from Sephora. So I don't particularly like this formula of those. I know they recently came out with the lip shines, which is, it comes in the same packaging as this, just a little bit larger, and they're clear. They're more of a sheer type of lipstick. But of course I do love the gloss bombs by Fenty, and I do have all of them. I have Fenty Glow and Fussy. I also have Diamond Milk and Sweet Mouth, and the Clear Gloss, which is Glass Slipper. Also, the packaging that came out this past Christmas that came with the all of the glosses also came with a hot chocolate as well. This is the most popular shade that everyone wanted a full size of, and they also now sell a full size. I don't have the full size because I still have this one. I haven't even gone through yet, so I still have this one. And last but not least is highlighter. I have quite a few of the Fenty Beauty highlighters. This one is Penny for You Thought, and it is a copper also the Diamond Bomb in How Many Carats. This looks like this because I use it quite a bit and my makeup seems to transfer to it. And This is my favorite highlighter, which is Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey, and it looks like this. And then this one is very good for deeper skin tones, but for me, I can also get by with using this as a blush. And this is Ginger Binge and Moscow Mule. And then last but not least, I have Ruby Riches, which looks like this. And this can also be used as a blush as well. I do know that Fenty recently came out with the cream blushes, which were half the size of these, and they were $20. I didn't find that they were a big bang for my buck, so I decided to not go with them. So I'm just going to add Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey to my cheeks. And that is it. That is it for today's video. I hope that you have enjoyed my full face of Fenty and also talking about what I would like to see from Fenty. I would love to see a pressed blush. I would love to see a pressed powder as well. I would also love to see some lipsticks that are very similar to the Stunna lip paints in a regular tube lipstick form as well. And what else? Oh, also the liners, I would prefer a liquid liner as well, and maybe some brown and deeper toned lip liners as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.